everyone, welcome back to another new edition of Windows and Current Affairs. And today in this edition of the program we're going to be taking a look or a thorough look over the role of small and medium enterprises in enforcing and empowering the course of economy when it comes to reviving the market, when it comes to encouraging the small entrepreneurs and the startups, and how the government is also enforcing and encouraging the SMEs in Egypt, especially in the latest economic boom that has been taken and the stable situation Egypt is going through after a series of steps that were taken to revive the economy. We're very delighted to be having with us our dear guest live here in the studio, Dr. Motaaz Abou Zeid. Is a professor of international law. Good evening, Dr. Abou Zeid.
Good evening.
Let us first talk about how do you define SMEs right now, the modern SMEs, in light of the stage Egypt is going through, that particular booming stage?
Yes. Firstly, thank you for this introduction, and of course it reflects a reality here in Egypt nowadays after, as you said, many steps of changes and many not only on the economic field but also on the political and social fields here in Egypt. Of course, after revolutions in 2011 and 2013, many hard shocks affected the Egyptian economy and the Egyptian policy, even internal and with foreign countries, and it really needs a process, a great process of reviving. And we turned our country to a country with an agenda, of course, to be applied along many years, and it was really a very successful and progress project done and achieved by the government, firstly through a legislation frame for achieving this, and on the other side some strategies and some practice from the government. Of course, it came to this final result as we touched all or observed this.
Let us, when we talk about enforcing and reviving the SMEs from everyone, and then we have to mention or talk about there is an institution or a governmental institution to be able to, its main target and aim is to develop with the SMEs and enforce it, and also boost its loans.
Yes.
Let us first talk about the role of this particular institution.
Now we have many particular institutions for these targets. Of course, we can begin from the role of the government for many ministers or ministries to have a role in this field, like social guarantee, like finance, like international cooperation, like of course security and interior affairs, and also foreign affairs. All these efforts can be united together to give the first, we can say, a plan for these achievements or for this economic progress. On the other side, we had a new agenda or a new rethinking for the Egyptian economy, according to the elements or according to the points that we have, or we can build this upon, like a great number of population, like a very strong and wide force of youth, like people who have small capitals or small startups to begin with their projects, and of course a strong government to support and improve these projects. All these elements or all these bases can help the Egyptian government to achieve this reviving process or this improvement or economic improvement, as you said. On the other hand, we began some steps or some strategies to be applied even year by year. Firstly, by liberation of the Egyptian currency, in 2016. After that, beginning with some strong and effective projects in Egypt, like infrastructure, like new Suez Canal, like new cities can be opened in many places in Egypt. Added to that, the new economic thinking of taxes, of customs or fees can be applied or be collected by the government, and of course on the other side many services can be presented to the people according to these financial resources came to the Egyptian government. And after that, new institution besides the efforts of the ministries was established, like the national councils for women, for children, for new project for the institution of the small project in the Ministry of Planning or Ministry of Industry and Commerce. On the other side, the institution of financial regulatory and also the new institutions for small and medium and micro enterprises. Of course, all these new institutions improve the strategies and impacts and targets of the government to make this economic progress, and of course it had a very effective role in this field, like financial support, as you said, like loans or financial sources for these projects, and on the other side a new administrative structure for this project to be to start up and also to continue in a right way. After 2016, we can say that a new financial policy here in Egypt was applied, like the financial inclusion supervised by the Central Bank of Egypt, and of course this pushed new financial resources in the Egyptian market, and also new activities or new chances was opened for the Egyptian market capital, and of course it was really successful, as was noticed or observed not only here in Egypt but according to the international indicators for these activities.
In the past, throughout the past 7 years, a lot has been taken to be able to empower the small entrepreneurs and boost the SMEs in Egypt in many shapes. 36 billion Egyptian pound were injected inside the market in the shape of direct loans or financing the small and medium enterprises countrywide. This was happening throughout the 7 years, and we are bearing the results right now and seeing the fruits and results of these activities that were taken earlier at the start of the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the early tenure of President Sisi.
Yes. Of course, you are right. As we said, we had many steps we go through or we went through, like great projects like financial inclusion policy, like the liberation of the currency, and besides this, we began a new improvement policy for youth, for new projects, for entrepreneurs, not only for financial resources, but for the, as I said, the administrative structure for these projects, as we established many projects incubators, project accelerators, and also the new legislation frame for these projects, like investment law, like
the one-stop shop, for
yes,
example.
of course, the one-stop shop, and also the recent legislation of medium, small, and micro enterprises. And as we said, new kind of legislations was produced or was issued by the Parliament, as the law of protection of information, the law of how to improve the role of technology in the financial activities or non-financial activities or outside the banking activities. Of course, all these new legislations can give or can improve new chances for new projects or new startups or entrepreneurs to change their minds out from the old shapes of these projects to new fields or new activities can be improved easily and more effective by the government.
Of course, as we know, that these activities and these efforts that have been exerted and has never stopped have resulted in economic growth or let's say, improving the economic growth in Egypt, but another type of growth. New small projects have erected, and new type of markets appeared or were born. And as we have seen, the total economic map of Egypt have totally changed. It is not the typical stereotyped economic map that we have known before, but different one in a modern way that would answer the needs of some brackets in society that were really, without that particular market, would have been laid off right now.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you. According to what you described, the new shape or the new...
What type of businesses?
Yes.
I mean...
it may be not related for the type of business.
Like in the food industry, we could see youth, you know, conquering the food industry in a totally, and taking it to a whole new level.
Yes.
Like in the entertainment, like even in the fashion.
Yes.
And it's becoming very, very popular and very booming, and you know, different types of businesses that we haven't been used to have emerged.
And of course, you can say also the technology applications or games or something like that. I think it's an easy way to reach everybody, and of course to be a successful project and encouraged, of course, by the government. So as you said, many fields can be conquered now according to new projects or new thinking of the Egyptian economy, or how can I participate in this progress, how can I get this financial support or these loans or support by the government. And as I think, it may be a new era of thinking for the Egyptian progress of economy. It's not only regarding the transaction economic growth, it's really targeting a new economic development, a very long plan, a very far target, not only to have an annual economic growth, and according to 1 year or 2 years, and after that we can stop or cannot make any increasing or something like this. But if we have a plan of economic improvement or economic development for plans for many years, after 10 years, after 20 years, and of course it's a step or a cycle or a small cycle or a small part in the great plan that we all know, which is 2030 or Egypt 2030. Of course, it mainly depended upon the new economic growth or the new economic development in Egypt. And that's why we can encourage now new activities, can encourage now new projects, can learn or train youth how to discover new fields to have your project or to have your enterprises or entrepreneurship. And of course, according to this new thinking, with some support, with the power of the youth, of course, you can gain a very good result.
We need also to talk or give credit to the role of the Egyptian administration firsthand, because honestly speaking, the Egyptian administration, represented in His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, have been laying a foundation, and it is the core reason for that particular boom that happened in economic growth and the flourishing of SMEs in Egypt. Because, like I said, they took it to a whole new level, a totally different face, and a totally different function. If you like to elaborate over this.
Yes, of course. It cannot be denied. It's a very long journey, cut, of course, by the Egyptian people, headed by, of course, our President, Mr. Abdel Fattah Sisi, and of course, it gave a new push for the society. I think the new thinking, or I can say the miracle that the Egyptians achieved, was the rearrangement of the internal Egyptian home. How to put your priorities one after another, how to achieve it, not to make a mess, not to wait any help from any other countries or any other organizations. Or you can depend upon yourself, and we have the power to do this, and we have the decision to do this. And according to this, we made a new country according to strong basis, security, defense, combating terrorism, giving new resources or financial resources to support this new economy can be reviving or supported. And of course, according to a new education system can be applied, and of course in a parallel line a new healthcare in Egypt, healthcare system can be applied in Egypt. And of course as a result, we can now, according to this stable society, according to this welcoming society, you can now approve any new economic or financial support for this project. You made the great basis, and of course you can after that give this support or give this new thoughts for the Egyptian economy, and of course it will be effective, and it was really effective for this project, of course.
In your own perception as an expert, how do you see the SMEs, I mean the priorities for those SMEs? Is it targeting mainly youth? Is it targeting, do women have a space and or have a share in the gains behind SMEs? Is it targeting all sectors of society? Whom is it targeting?
I think firstly it can help the whole economy for the country. This is the main gainer for this game, of course, no doubt. On the other hand, as you said, particularly if we can have some benefits or some improvement for all these categories that you said, of course all of them can reach a progress in this plan or in this support or improvement. Firstly, we cannot now talk about empowering the women or improving women for these projects. Of course, we have a sub-categorized in these categories. Of course, we have now the working woman, the house woman, the mother, the woman in far and urban places, the woman carries responsibilities for the family. Of course, every category of these categories can start a project, can have an entrepreneur for itself, can have a thinking, some facilities to begin with in its society and in her society or in her family. On the other hand, if we can talk about youth, of course we have now youth with an experience for work, youth with an educational qualifications, youth with a certain career shift from some formal or official jobs to new projects or private sector. And of course all of these categories must be improved, and I think we can make this by a real planning for the whole achievements or for the whole support. Not only to say we can improve women, we can improve youth, we can improve children, we can improve entrepreneurships. No, we can be more deeper in these plans or in these studies to make a wide support for new categories appeared in the Egyptian society, and of course their new ideas about projects or entrepreneurships they can achieve.
Right, but the reason I said that is because probably mentioning this different sectors in society would also evoke the issue of renovating or improving the conditions of several institutions or particular institutions that are in charge of enforcing that particular type of economy, which is the SMEs, like giving more facilities, like issuing or starting up or initiating more facilitations when it comes to enforcing laws, regulating some types of businesses with some conditions, you know, that way. Do you think that could be easy in the near future to be able to improve more and more, add more and more, not improve, but at the same time add more and more ideas to be able to take it to a better level?
According to the points that you discussed, we must not neglect two main points. I think happen actually now in Egypt. The first one, the role of economy as one of human rights. This relation cannot be denied or cannot be disappear or neglected. Of course, one of the main human right can be the economy, the right of economy, the right of a job, the right of salary, the right of even for strike or objection about wrong conditions or wrong work environments. Of course, all of these can be included upon the title under the title of human rights. So it's really a very important for a new country, for a new thinking, for a new improvement and activities done by the government to do this related to the human rights. It will be welcomed not only here in Egypt but from the whole world. This is the first point. The second point, we already declared the year 2022 for the civil society. And of course, according to this, it's a very great invitation for this society that suffered for a long time, for a very tensioned relation with the Egyptian society, to make new channels of communication, to make a new improvement for its main rules, even not for the social field, but also for the economic field. They can support new projects, they can train people, they can make a wider awareness of this, of the importance of these entrepreneurships or new projects. They can give a new encouragement for the people. It's a civil society, and they have more ears to listen to them. They are more nearer for the people to make these invitations and to make these calls. And of course, according to these 2 points, the role of the civil society and also working under the title of the human rights, this will give an appraisal for these new projects or new support for the economic activities.
Mentioning civil society, of course, there were many ideas and suggestions that were given to the government in order to improve some sectors of society, like those in the informal settlements, like the illiterate, like the single moms, single mothers, like the people with special needs. Yes. Those are sectors and calibers in society that need to be invested. We need to invest in them. They are talented, they are full of ideas, and they need money on top of all. Where do you see them inside the small and medium enterprises, the new projects, the emerging small and micro economies? Do you see them having a good share?
Nowadays, we can admit this. We can say that they are having their opportunities now. Of course, according to a very long journeys of neglecting, of not having more opportunities or chances to participate in these economic activities. But nowadays, according to what you said, they have very great ideas. They have very great willing to participate in these projects or to have their opportunities. And on the other side, they are improved by an economic growth for a very strong country. If you are a strong country on the political side, on the security side, on the social side, and even on the economic side, you can improve these projects easily. You can welcome this new thinking and making thanks for them for what they presented, but you cannot give them a hand to start with or to accelerate these projects or to achieve it. But according to your sources, according to the new policies for finance and economy here in Egypt, of course, this made a push for these projects and make a welcoming environment to attract them. Better to serve your country and its raising economic activities. It's better to have an official job or to invest your money or your thoughts also outside this country. This welcoming environment, according to the strong basis built in the Egyptian country nowadays, of course, made a new chances or new opportunities for these categories that you mentioned.
There are several examples for the booming SMEs in many countries. On top of them, of course, is China and other countries. Asian countries are a very good example and some other countries in the Middle East also are very good example for the growth of economy through SMEs. Yes. Why?
I think we have many common features.
Do you think it's because of the overpopulation?
Of course,
because we're trying to analyze it because we need to study good experiences,
no doubt,
successes, so that we could maybe we could be able to follow footsteps.
No doubt. Here in Egypt, we are welcoming huge project, great project, new investments from foreign countries or something like this. But we cannot deny, as you said, the great population here in Egypt. And a certain features for this population, that small capitals to start projects or entrepreneurships. And of course, the same state there in the Asian countries, as you said, a great population with decreased capitals or very little money to begin your project or your
The booming
entrepreneurship.
economy.
Yes, of course. According to new thoughts or new thinking in these projects, a great powerful category in the society as youth or small people. Number three, a very caring environment which was created by the country. Of course, these three reasons they are common between us and between the Asian countries that achieved this growth. And of course, I think we are now on the same track. But we cannot deny that any growth economy comes after many changes. And of course, even the Asian countries that you mentioned, of course, they suffered a lot from many changes on security conditions or economic conditions or even political conditions, some conquered from other countries, or to have their independence or something like this, as the same series happened here in Egypt. Of course, after revolutions, after political changes or something like this, but we can go on the same track, but the best thing here in Egypt is to make this in a quick and a very effective and touched changes here in Egypt. That you, according to these reasons, we said new thoughts, great power, and the welcoming environment by the government. If you maintain or save these features, I think it will be rapidly achieved to more progress.
But do you think the culture here, or the geopolitical environment could be similar to other Asian nations, and could be these experiences could be successful here, or we need to create our own experiences?
It can be repeated, but I agree with you that it's a point of awareness. We also had some traditions or some stereotypes, as you said, in the economic resources or even in jobs or works or something like this, to be also always related for the government, for the official jobs, for the official ranks or something like this. It depends mainly upon somehow to be covered to enter this field, somehow to not be certain if this capital can support me to begin my project or something like this. You are not sure that the government will support you or will improve you. Your entrepreneurship or your project will be welcomed and to be encouraged or not. All these fears can retard these projects or these the results of these projects. But we can say that it needs a main awareness or a main educational system that we must make people go through to change these thoughts, of course. And as I said, it's the main role of the civil society and the main role of the educational systems that can give new generations adopting these thoughts, of course.
Where do you see the capital entities, like in the shape of businessmen, their share in enforcing and promoting that particular type of economy, SMEs?
Yes.
Do you think they could be backing up small projects, encouraging small entrepreneurs, together, of course, with civil society? They could form a team together with the government to be able to sometimes finance some small projects. And I guess this has been happening lately a little bit through Haya Karima and through initiatives that have been very popular and proved success.
Yes. According to capital entities or great businessmen or men or something like this, we can depend upon this element or this force for a main reason, the financial nature. Of course, as a government, I can support in a plan, I can support in a structure, I can support in a facilitation for administrative procedures or something like this. And we as a civil society institution can help for awareness, can help for training, can help for teaching people or
vocational training, for
yes,
example.
for the importance of this project. But the businessman can evaluate it financially, can evaluate it according to the importance or the effect on the whole economy, the new chances, chances, the new opportunities. And this can be gained by practice. And of course, businessmen had a long experience in this project, can also support them not only by money or by finance or by loan, by the new thoughts or the new opportunities that can be opened by these businessmen.
But do you think that these particular policies could be facing more challenges? Normally, like any other entities that are facing challenges with the advent of environmental changes, climate change, all the the threats that are or the dangers that are threatening the SDGs for 2030 and 2063?
Of course, it may be effective. Working on SMEs or something like this is one of the targets of the United Nations Sustainable Plans. And on the other side, it's a common movement all over many countries nowadays, not only in Egypt. And of course, it needs an international cooperation to make a raising or to improve and support this project. Can it be also affected by a direct way? But it can be affected indirectly, like many maybe military disputes, maybe economic disputes, maybe unstable relations between countries, and of course this can affect
or conflict of interest.
Yes, of course, financial resources for any country that can be dependent or can be used for supporting or improving these SMEs or this new project. So it's related somehow, but cannot be affected directly, but it can in an indirect way can be also affected. Even I think the main challenge for this progress is the stereotypes of the economic activities,
of economic mentalities.
The lack of
talking about economic mentalities, because we're running out of time, but it might cross the minds of people who are listening to us right now, is that the daring question, looking forward to 2063 or 2030 and then 2063, do you think that one day countries could depend on SMEs to make economic transitions, or this is impossible?
I think it began as a dream or as a plan, but it's now a must. Of course, you cut a very important step in this field, and on the other side, you are waiting for the results, because it's not the end of the road. You can invest these results for new project or new plan for the new sustainable plan you have. So of course, if in the beginning we wanted to make it a new support or new improvement for these projects or entrepreneurs, I think now it's a must to achieve or to support these projects, as you are waiting for the results to begin a new achievement.
Hopefully, on that very optimistic note, we'd like to thank you, Dr. Motaaz. You are a professor of international law and an economic expert at the same time. Thank you so much for coming.
Welcome, Ms. Dina. Thank you.
And of course, we need to be building on that particular very important notes that you put in that edition of Windows and Current Affairs, to add more on another episode of the program, inshallah, on your promise.
Thank you.
Thank you, and all the best to you. And I guess this brings us to the end of this edition of Windows and Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you, and until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.